Hey there and welcome back. Today's topic hits closer to home than most men realize, especially those who have ever walked away from a relationship feeling confused, drained, or quietly disrespected. Have you ever felt something was off, even when nothing obvious was said? Maybe she smiled, acted polite, or even said she cared, but deep down, you felt unseen, unsupported, or subtly belittled. That's not your imagination. In this video, we will unpack some of the most overlooked and unspoken signs that a woman may harbor resentment, frustration, or even quiet dislike toward the man she's with. Unlike men, women often don't express dissatisfaction directly. Instead, their true feelings slip out through body language, tone, sarcasm, and subtle behavior. And if you're not paying attention, you'll miss those cues until it's too late. This isn't about blaming or criticizing women, but protecting your emotional well-being. It's about learning to recognize when the affection you think is there isn't. Whether you're dating, in a long-term relationship, or reflecting on one that recently ended, this insight can help you stop second-guessing yourself and start seeing things more clearly. So stick around until the end, because the signs we're covering today could save you months, even years, of confusion, frustration, and emotional fatigue. Let's get into it. 1. Contempt disguised as humor. She leans into the group's laughter with a knowing smile as she says again, "You're going to the gym? That's cute." It's a harmless joke to the casual observer, but there's a sharp edge under the surface. Another time it's, "You look like a security guard in that shirt." Again, you're left standing there, unsure whether to laugh along or walk away. When you finally speak up, she grins and says, "Oh, come on, I'm just joking. Don't be so sensitive." This is not humor. It's contempt wrapped in wit, passive aggression delivered under playfulness. The laugh track is just a distraction. These aren't innocent comments. They're calculated little stings that tell you exactly how she sees you, without her having to say it outright. And they're always public, theatrical, and designed to get a reaction. But when you give her one, you're the problem. You're too soft. You're imagining things. Underneath this behavior is a more profound emotional current. She may be feeling resentment, dissatisfaction, or even superiority, but instead of owning those emotions directly, she chooses a safer route: sarcasm. It lets her offload what's boiling beneath the surface while keeping her image intact. After all, she's just joking, and you're the one who can't take it. A woman who values you will never use you as a punchline to entertain others. She won't seek cheap validation by mocking your efforts or appearance. Respect doesn't require a stage. When admiration is genuine, it expresses itself in encouragement, not ridicule. So when this happens, stop the performance. Meet it with calm clarity. A simple response like, "That didn't feel like a joke to me," interrupts the pattern and shifts the dynamic. You're not accusing, you're naming your experience. And in that moment, you're claiming your self-respect. Her reaction will reveal everything if she pauses and reconsiders her words. There's space for growth, but if she doubles down, if the jokes keep coming and the blame keeps shifting back to you, then what you're dealing with isn't humor. It's a pattern of emotional erosion. Not all wounds come from yelling or anger. Sometimes they come from laughter that leaves a sting. And in relationships, the slow drip of sarcasm can do more damage than an open fight. When mockery becomes a habit, it's no longer playful, it's a message. And it's time to decide if it's one you're willing to keep receiving. 2. Subtle sabotage. Sometimes the warning signs aren't loud. They don't come in the form of raised voices or dramatic confrontations. Instead, they slip quietly into your day, wrapped in smiles and well-meaning excuses. You start to notice that every time something truly matters, a job interview, a big presentation, a deadline you've been grinding toward, something goes wrong. She forgets to set your alarm like she promised, or tells you traffic won't be lousy today when you end up stuck in gridlock. She gives advice that sounds supportive but steers you in the wrong direction. At first, it feels like bad luck. Then it feels like a pattern. This behavior isn't always easy to name because it hides behind a mask of care. But beneath the surface is often a subtle form of resentment. A woman threatened by your growth or success might not confront you outright. Instead, she finds small ways to slow you down, chip away at your progress, or keep you just one step behind where you could be. It's not sabotage with fire and fury. It's sabotage with a soft touch and a passive tone. This behavior can stem from insecurity, fear of being left behind, or even a deep-seated need to stay in control of the emotional balance in the relationship. When your wins start to feel like her losses, she may not cheer for you as a true partner should. Her support becomes conditional, her encouragement starts to feel hollow, her timing becomes suspiciously poor. What's dangerous about subtle sabotage is how invisible it is until you zoom out. You start thinking you're overreacting, that everyone forgets things or gives lousy advice sometimes. But if the mistakes always seem to happen when you're on the verge of something important, that's not a coincidence. That's a pattern. Patterns reveal the truth people try to hide. Pay attention to those critical moments. Keep a mental score of how often her actions or inactions derail you. Is it just once or twice, or is it every time you're about to move forward in life? Is she there when you struggle but absent when you shine? A healthy relationship adds momentum to your growth, not friction. If you're constantly tripping over obstacles she placed in your path, even unknowingly, it's time to ask hard questions. Sometimes, the most dangerous opposition doesn't come from the outside world, but from someone close who doesn't want to see you outgrow the space where they feel secure. Not every partner will be able to celebrate your evolution, and not every smile is sincere. When someone quietly dims your light so theirs can shine brighter, you owe it to yourself to step back, reassess, and decide if that's the kind of love you're willing to settle for. 3. Silent competition. There's a moment when a man shares a win with a woman he deeply cares about. Maybe he just landed a big project or achieved a personal goal, and instead of a smile or a supportive, "I'm proud of you," she quickly interjects, "I did that too, but better." What was meant to be a moment of connection turns into a subtle contest. At first glance, it may seem harmless. Maybe she just wants to relate. Maybe she's excited to share her own story. But when it happens, every time you realize she never lets you have the center stage for more than a breath. You're not in a partnership. You're in a quiet rivalry. This kind of behavior isn't always loud or obvious. It doesn't come with shouting matches or dramatic gestures. It creeps in gently, with small jabs wrapped in casual tones. You talk about your latest achievement and she raises the bar with hers. You mention a compliment someone gave you and she counters it with one she received that sounds more impressive. It becomes a game you never signed up for and one she refuses to stop playing. At its core, this isn't about ambition or a healthy sense of pride. It reflects deep-seated insecurity, a silent fear that your rise somehow diminishes her worth. When a woman no longer admires you, she doesn't see your success as a shared joy, but as a looming threat. What could have been something to celebrate together becomes a score to settle. It's not that she doesn't see your value. It's that she's measuring herself against it. And when that happens, admiration fades. In its place comes comparison, resentment, and subtle power plays. The instinct to defend yourself, to prove your worth, matches her tone, which is tempting, but it's a losing game. A real connection doesn't demand you dim your light so someone else can shine. You don't need to compete to be worthy of love or to deserve support. If she can't acknowledge your accomplishments without trying to outdo them, she's not standing beside you, she's standing in opposition to you. So what should you do? Observe. Watch how she reacts when you're doing well. Listen to the words she chooses when you share good news. If her default response is to redirect attention to herself, if her compliments always come with a qualifier, if she never celebrates you without inserting herself into the story, she's not clapping for you. They're keeping score. Healthy love is rooted in mutual admiration, not constant comparison. You deserve someone who sees your growth and feels inspired, not threatened. You deserve someone who doesn't just stand beside you in hard times, but who also beams with pride when you win, because in a genuine partnership, your victory is hers too, and she knows that. 4. Absence. During your highs and lows. You begin to notice it in the quiet moments, when you crave support or someone to share your triumph with. Perhaps you got the promotion you've worked so hard for, or suffered the sting of a personal loss. You look for her reaction, her presence, her warmth, but she's not there. She's busy or tired, or simply replies with a muted, that's nice, before shifting the conversation elsewhere. The void where care should be begins to speak volume. At first you might make excuses for her. Maybe she's having a rough day or just distracted, but patterns reveal truths. Her emotional absence becomes a quiet pattern of disconnection. Joys met with indifference, pain met with silence. Something deeper is at play when something significant happens in your life, and she seems almost inconvenienced by your feelings. It's not always explosive or dramatic. That's what makes it so unsettling. There's no yelling, no arguments, just an unspoken distance growing between you and the woman you once felt close to. This withdrawal is not accidental. A woman who has begun to detach emotionally often won't argue or fight. She simply won't show up. Her presence becomes physical only, her eyes distant when you speak, her responses clipped and perfunctory. You are no longer emotionally safe in her space. She no longer invests in your highs or consoles you during your lows, because she has stopped seeing your emotional world as part of hers. When you share your dreams or anxieties, and her gaze drifts or her phone becomes more important than your words, don't just chalk it up to distraction. Emotional connection thrives on engagement. When that's missing, it's often not a mistake, it's a choice. A woman still invested in the relationship will lean in, even if she doesn't always know what to say. A woman who has checked out will leave you to carry your joy and sorrow alone. Ask yourself how often you've celebrated victories or weathered storms with only your shadow to talk to. If the pattern keeps repeating, if every meaningful moment is met with her absence, you are not imagining things. Emotional distance often begins long before a relationship ends, and it starts in these moments, when she no longer celebrates your wins or mourns your losses. No one should feel lonely next to someone who once held their hand. When emotional absence becomes the norm, when silence is louder than presence, it's time to ask yourself what kind of love you're still holding on to, and whether it's still holding you back. 5. Control disguised as concern. She says she's only looking out for you, Her words sound soft but leave a sting you can't quite name. Every suggestion feels more like a warning than support. You sure you want to do that? You'll probably fail. It's not just the words, the subtle shake of her head, the hesitation in her tone, the way she watches you as if waiting for you to stumble. Her concern feels less like love and more like quiet sabotage. This isn't about your well-being, it's about keeping you small enough to hold. The more you doubt yourself, the more you lean on her. And that's precisely where she wants you. This is control cloaked in care, a strategy wrapped in sympathy. It's emotional manipulation dressed in worry, and doesn't always look hostile. Sometimes it's dressed in a soft voice, late-night conversations, and a hand on your shoulder that feels more like a tether than You begin to notice that after talking to her, you're not more specific about your dreams and are more hesitant. Your energy doesn't rise, it drains. It's in how she questions your choices, plants seeds of doubt, and then stands back as they take root in your mind. She doesn't want you to grow because growth means independence, and independence means distance. And distance is the one thing she fears most because it threatens her control. Ask yourself this: why would someone who claims to love you make you question yourself? Real support lifts you. It helps you believe in possibilities, not prepare for failure. Love may challenge you, but it doesn't shrink you. It doesn't make you small. Just so someone else can feel enormous. When concern consistently makes you feel incapable, that isn't love. That's control in disguise. 6. Talking behind your back. There's something particularly disorienting about realizing that someone who greets you with warmth might be tearing you down when you're not around. It starts subtly. You notice shifts in how others behave toward you. Colleagues who were once friendly now keep conversations short or avoid you altogether. Friends you trust begin to seem guarded, like they're not telling you something. Then it comes. A quiet word from someone you didn't expect. A hesitant confession that she's been saying things about you, things that simply aren't true. It's not always malicious in the loud, dramatic way we expect. That's the danger. This behavior lives in the quiet spaces of social interaction. Moments after you leave a room, when she casually mentions that you're difficult to work with, or not quite who everyone thinks you are. She doesn't confront, she corrodes. And she does it with a smile. The psychology behind this isn't as rare as we wish it were. Some women won't challenge you directly when threatened or harboring hidden resentment. Instead, they opt for the subtler, more insidious path, reshaping how others see you while keeping their hands clean. They present themselves as agreeable and kind in your presence, all while strategically planting seeds of doubt about your character in others' minds. It's not confrontation they seek, it's quiet control. You'll be tempted to react, confront her publicly, or call her out immediately, but that would only give her more ammunition, especially if she's already painted you as unpredictable or unstable. Instead, take a step back and observe. Pay attention to how people act after they've spent time with her. Do they seem colder, more distant? If the pattern is consistent, you're likely not imagining it. One man once said, "If her smile doesn't match how others start treating you, trust the silence more than her words." In this kind of emotional landscape, your best defense is clarity. Don't chase the rumors or demand apologies. Simply recognize what's happening and make your choices accordingly. You don't need to convince anyone. You only need to see the truth for yourself. And when you do, you'll know what to do. Walk away, not with anger but with certainty. A woman who undermines your reputation behind your back isn't someone you need in your corner. Her presence is a performance. Your exit is the truth. 7. She shows no joy in your success. In the moments of your triumph, when the world feels like it's finally aligning in your favor, her response seems a little off. It's not a celebration, it's not an excited cheer or even a congratulatory gesture. Instead, you hear a cold, "It's not that big of a deal," or worse, "Other people have done way better." The disconnect is palpable. You may brush it off at first, perhaps thinking it's just a bad day for her, or that maybe she's preoccupied with her thoughts, but deep down you begin to feel it. The distance. The joy you were hoping to share, the celebration you were craving, is nowhere to be found. You wonder if you've crossed a place where your accomplishments no longer matter to her. This is more than just a fleeting reaction to a specific achievement. It can reflect something more profound, a sense of emotional distance that may have slowly crept into your relationship. When a woman resents your success, it's rarely about the achievement. Instead, it becomes a mirror of her internal struggles. The success you revel in reminds her of the places where she feels unfulfilled, the dreams she hasn't chased, or the goals she hasn't yet achieved. In this light, your triumphs become a painful contrast to her disappointments. She can't honestly share in your joy, not because she doesn't care about you, but because her heart is clouded with comparisons, frustration, and perhaps bitterness. In her mind, your success is a reminder that she hasn't reached her potential, and that gap only widens with every victory you claim. She may not voice it directly, but the resentment is there, subtly shaping how she interacts with you. The signs are often hidden beneath layers of subtle behavior. Her tone may remain flat, her gaze distant, or her words dismissive. You might sense that while you're celebrating your win, she's emotionally checked out, somewhere far from the joy of the moment. It's essential to take note of these moments, especially when they happen repeatedly. A woman who truly loves you will be happy for you, even when you are tired or stressed. She will find a way to join in your happiness, even in small gestures. A smile, a word of encouragement, or an embrace. But when her responses are consistently lukewarm, it could signal that her heart is no longer fully engaged. Her mind might be elsewhere, wondering what she's missing or the life she feels she should have but doesn't. It's crucial to be aware of this emotional shift. The more you try to share your success, the more you may feel a growing gap between you and her. As difficult as it may be, the key is to be mindful of her reaction and approach the situation empathetically. It's not about downplaying your achievements, but recognizing that her lack of enthusiasm may reflect something she's struggling with internally. In moments like these, it's essential to ask yourself, is she truly happy for you, or is something holding her back from sharing in your joy? If the latter, it may signal that you both need to address what's causing the distance before it becomes a deeper, more permanent divide. 8. Her body language doesn't lie. Words often fail to capture the whole story when understanding women's emotions. While she may say all the right things, her body language has a way of telling a different narrative. You might notice her avoiding eye contact, offering forced smiles, or going ultimately still when discussing your life. In these moments, there's a disconnect, something more profound yet unspoken lurking beneath the surface. Her body may become rigid, her arms crossing in front of her chest like a shield, or she may physically distance herself. These are subtle but powerful signals that she's not open to the conversation. At first glance, it might seem like she's just distracted or uncomfortable. But take a closer look. Her body is revealing the truth. even if her words don't match the silent language of her posture. The body doesn't lie. No matter how sweet or reassuring her words might be, her physical responses often tell a different story. Real emotions, discomfort, insecurity, or distance are usually leaked through posture, gestures, tone, and eye movement. It's almost as if her body is speaking in a language her words can't express. How she positions herself, how she reacts to specific topics, and even the subtle shifts in her gaze reveal more than she might ever admit aloud. If you sense tension in her movements, if there's a coldness or resistance in the air, it's essential not to ignore it. Don't get caught up in the illusion that everything is okay because she's saying what you want to hear. Trust your instincts. Her body is sending you a message that you must pay attention to. Consider the way she stands when you bring up something personal. Does she lean in, show interest, or pull back, creating an invisible barrier between you? Her physical space tells you whether she feels connected or detached. These signs should not be dismissed as mere coincidence if she's constantly fidgeting, avoiding touch, or backing away. These are the subtle ways your interactions shape her emotions, even if her words tell a different tale. Remember, it's not just about hearing her words, but observing her behavior. Her body speaks louder than anything she says aloud, and as you become more attuned to this silent communication, you'll find that the unspoken truths reveal themselves more clearly. She might not say exactly what's on her mind, but her body will always give you a window into her heart. Trust in this silent dialogue is one of the most powerful tools for understanding her, truly. A woman may never directly say, "I don't like you," but her actions, tone, and energy often tell a different story. In relationships, subtle patterns speak volumes, especially when repeated over time. Sarcasm disguised as humor, emotional absence during your most meaningful moments, competition instead of celebration, or concern that only undermines, aren't signs of love or respect. They are quiet warnings. Many men ignore these signals, choosing to believe words over behavior. But emotional awareness is part of emotional strength. A high-value man pays attention to how a woman treats him in the good times and how she shows up or disappears. When he succeeds, struggles, or stands tall in his purpose. Her silence, her sarcasm, her distance, they all reveal truths words may try to hide. Your time, your energy, and your heart are worth protecting. Recognizing these hidden signs isn't about becoming suspicious. It's about honoring yourself enough to walk away from relationships that quietly chip away at your confidence and peace. I'd love to hear from you. Have you experienced any of these signs in your relationships? What helped you recognize the truth? Share your thoughts and stories in the comments below. If you found this video helpful, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications for more insights on emotional clarity, healthy relationships, and personal growth. See you in the next one.